Okay, today we're going to talk about winds or winds. And one thing that you need to understand is the Coriolis effect. And the Coriolis effect is as things, big objects like winds or ocean currents, move, the Earth is going to spin out from underneath it. And in the northern hemisphere, it's going to deflect everything to the right. There is a demo video there. Also on the day by day, I have put out a couple videos. One is an animation, and the other one is actually people throwing the ball on a merry-go-round. So with the Coriolis effect, in the northern hemisphere, everything gets turned to the right because we're all right in the northern hemisphere. In the southern hemisphere, it's going to be backwards. They're going to get turned to the left. I am only expecting you to understand northern hemisphere things being turned to the right. All of our winds are going to be just northern hemisphere. Maybe later on in your life, someone will make you understand the southern hemisphere, but for me, just the northern hemisphere. So when we talk about winds, the thing that we need to understand is that we talk about winds going horizontally. If the air is going up or if the air is going down, we cannot realize that. And we are always going to be talking about the winds from where they are coming from. Right now, the winds are out of the northwest. We don't talk about winds going somewhere. We always talk about where they are coming from. And most of the time, our winds are set up, well, all the time, the winds are set up by uneven heating. That when we take a look at warm air, it's going to go up because it's less dense. Cold air is going to sink because it is more dense. The greater the temperature difference, the faster the winds. This is a diagram that I'm going to talk or spend most of my time on. I do want you to understand that I love this diagram, but it is actually incorrect, and I will point that out. I'm going to start off talking about the equator, and at the equator, the air is going to be the warmest, therefore the air is going to be going up. So when the air goes up, we call that a low pressure. So the air goes up because it's less dense. That is a low pressure. From there, it's going to get to a point where it can't go any higher, and it's going to move to the north, and it's going to move to the south, but we're only going to be talking about moving to the north. As it moves to the north, it begins to cool, and as it cools, it sinks. And it's going to sink at about 30 degrees north latitude. And as that cold air comes down, you don't realize that the air is coming down because we only associate winds with the horizontal vector. So as it sinks, it's going to hit the ground. Some of it's going to go north, some of it's going to go south. So with that first convection cell, if we take a look at the equator, that area where there's no winds because the air is going up is called the doldrums. So at the equator, the air goes up, that's the doldrums. It goes north in the upper atmosphere. It's going to sink at 30 degrees north latitude. And when that air comes down at 30 degrees north latitude, that is called the horse latitudes. And the reason why it's called the horse latitudes is in early trading, the Europeans would start off in Europe and go to Africa and then get back to America and then make that triangle that you learned in social studies. Well, if they got too far out into the ocean, into the Atlantic Ocean, they would run out of winds. And they needed to get rid of whatever was least valuable to them. And if you take a look at it, horses didn't help them at that point in time. They also drank a lot of waters. So the horse latitudes got their names by the idea that some sailors threw their horses overboard during the horse latitudes if they got stuck. Sorry. The winds, as they moved from 30 degrees towards the equator, they would move from the east to the west. So these were technically called the trade winds because when they got into these trade winds, the sailors could ride these winds down into this area. And that's one of the reasons why a lot of times people think that the first settlement wasn't up here in North America by the Pilgrims, that it started down lower and then they worked their way up. So we have our doldrums at 30 degrees doldrums at the equator. 30 degrees is the horse latitudes. From the horse latitudes to the doldrums, those are called the trade winds. As the air sank at 30 degrees, it moved to the north, and as it moved to the north, the Coriolis effect turned it to the right. In this case here, it would be from the west. So from 30 degrees to 60 degrees, these are called the westerlies. So the predominant winds between 30 and 60 are from the west, hence the names westerlies. If you take a look at where we're at right here, we get our weather predominantly from the west. In the summertime, it's more southwest. In the wintertime, it's more northwest. But if we are going to look at what our weather is going to come, it comes from the west. This is where this diagram is wrong. It shows that the weather from 30 degrees to 60 degrees is going across the earth to the north, which is correct. But as it goes up to about 60 degrees, it's going to warm, go up, and come back. So these two arrows are incorrect. So at 60 degrees, the air is going up, and as it goes up, that's a low pressure. It's going to return back at 30 degrees, come down, that's a high pressure. So this convection cell arrows are wrong. It should go this way. So at the equator, we have the doldrums. Then from 30 to the equator, we have the trade winds. 30 degrees is the horse latitudes. From 30 degrees to 60 degrees, these are called the westerlies. Then at 60 degrees, you would assume that there's some special name for them. No special name for them. But what happens is, if we look up here, the air goes up at 60 degrees. As it goes up, that's a low pressure. Some of that air is going to go north and it's going to sink at the poles and come back. And this convection cell is going to set up the easterlies. And they're technically called the polar easterlies. And to help you remember names, if you can remember that winds are always called from where they come from. Okay, these come from the east, from 90 to 60. From 30 to 60, these come from the west. And the trade winds, the best thing that I can do to help you is as they came or as they left Africa or coming this way, they were trading. Those are global winds. Now, in between cold air masses and warm air masses, we have things called the jet stream. This is an upper air wind, and if you hear about the jet stream dropping or going to the south, that means we have cold air coming. If you hear about the jet stream going to the north or rising, that means that we probably have warm air coming. This used to be talked about a whole lot more, but as our technology has gotten better, you don't hear forecasters talking about it that much, but it is a wind. And we have local winds. Local winds are going to be short distance winds, and they are created by geographic features. This shows a convection cell with a low pressure over the land. So as the air goes up over the land, that tells us that the land must be warmer. So if the land is warmer, that means that is during the day. So during the day on the land, the air goes up, goes out over the ocean, sinks, and comes back in. This is going to be an ocean breeze or a sea breeze, more oftenly called, because it comes from the sea. Now, the cold is in quotes or single quotes, and that is because it's a relative term. So this is a sea breeze during the day because the air over the land goes up. This is the opposite. This has the sea being warm because relatively that water is not going to warm up and cool down as fast. So that water in the sea is actually the same temperature, but relatively it's warmer, is going to go up and create a warm pressure. So this is a land breeze as the air convects around like this. And it's, once again, it's a land breeze because it's coming from the land. We always talk about where it comes from. Now, valley breezes and mountain breezes are a little bit harder to understand, but during the day, as the land warms up, that air is going to go from the valley up the sides of the mountains. So if you were standing on the side, the air would actually be going up, or you could realize the air going up during the day. So this is called a valley breeze because it's coming from the valley. At nighttime, as that air begins to sink, it's going to sink down the mountain. And if you were standing on the mountain, you would realize that the air was coming down. So that would be a mountain breeze. So it comes from the mountains to the valley. This is going to be a mountain breeze. From the valley up is going to be a valley breeze. Okay, thank you very much.